4, 3.
What's up, guys? This is Knowledge Heist Podcast. Very new segment, first episode. I'm very happy to share this alongside the people that I honestly could say influenced me the most in every single way in my life, in my work life, my personal life, everything. So, to my right, I got Omar Diaz, OG the Barber. Over there across me, I got two beasts that I consider, my best friends, and like I said, people who influenced me to the fullest. Agustin Cortes right here.
Thank you for having me, brother.
Man. And Bryan right there, man.
How's it going?
I think
nice
pretty.
To be here.
Yeah, man. I think I'm pretty excited about this, Omar.
Yeah,
and
me too.
These are, this is gonna be a regular thing. So don't be surprised to see these, faces time and time again. And cutting the bullshit is gonna be raw as fuck. And we're just gonna have conversations, man.
I'm very excited. I've been I've been on camera for over 6 months. I used to do a video every week for 2 years. So I miss being on camera so much, but more importantly, not just being on camera, but the objective of the video itself is articulating and expressing yourself. It's I view it like an artist. Artists, musicians, they sing, they vocalize. Freestyling, this is my form of art. Speaking and delivering a message in a form that you can deliver wordplay in a segment way that people can understand.
Yeah,
it's art. So I think
man.
We're all artists here with the same mission.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited because this is the things we used to talk about.
Dude, yeah, bro. It's crazy, man. When we first met, bro, which is kind of crazy. I was starting a new business venture, and a mutual friend of ours, which David, if he's fucking watching, shout out to my dude David. He linked me up with you guys, and dude, I think that when we met, we were supposed to talk about developing a website for this new business venture that I had going on. Fucking, we spent 3 hours at a Starbucks, and we talked nothing about that business venture, man. The conversation just rolled. That
conversation
bro.
was so
deep. That was deep, man. That was
first day we met. We got super personal.
Yeah, dude.
I remember your story. You opened up, and it's crazy that. Just like that, you can connect and reciprocate.
It's just the vibrations, bro, and it's felt, man. It's a connection. It's a connection with the people that are like-minded. Because, dude, I can tell you, you guys know my parents used to have a grocery store, and I met hundreds and thousands of people a week, and there's just certain people that you vibe with and that vibe off with, and it's just kind of an instinctual thing of this other. I call it realm that we live around, because a lot of people don't understand the vibrations, the law of attraction, the universe, and how this works. But we're all fucking energy, and we're all vibing off. And there's just with us, since we met, man, it's just the energy and the vibes were in tune.
Let's dissect that. So lately I've been I found out about a lot of very smart channels. There's this channel called Skeptic, skeptic.com. It's scientists. And it's real people that logical thinking to the extreme, very objective thinking. And what you're saying, the objective realm, the other realm of the vibrations and somewhat mystical side of
it sounds crazy,
we
bro.
can't even put it into words to some point, but if you can explain to a scientist, if OD's a scientist right now and he's challenging your thoughts,
you can't, bro. You can't. And see, I think that this whole thing, it's something that you feel more than anything. I've had experiences with I've had experiences that I'd be stupid and I'd be naive to say that they've just lined up too perfectly to be a coincidence, to be luck, to be whatever you want to call it. To me, if you ask me, there's no doubt about it that there's this quote unquote realm or this
the universe.
The universe, bro. Literally the universe, and
everything.
the way that we interconnect in this universe. It's there's no doubt about it. However, if you ask me, give me some scientific proof or give me some set in stone, kind of the best way that I can say it, it's something that exists. Just a lot of people don't really believe on it, because I sometimes touch this conversation with people that we meet, and I always get the funky look, and I'm sure you get the funky look of
weirdo, huh?
Wait,
there's something's fucking wrong with this guy. You know what I mean? And so as soon as I get that look, I tone it down, but. It's just something that it hasn't been proven, yet people are hesitant to believe it. Let me just touch on something, because the way I see it, it's dude, back in the early fucking, 1500s, back when people used to think the world was fucking flat.
Yeah.
There was that Isaac Newton came on like the law of gravity. People thought he was fucking crazy. Motherfucker, he was gonna get hung for expressing his thoughts. And they saw this thing as him being like a lunatic and him being crazy because it was something that wasn't approved by a scientific
That's
community.
exactly what I was gonna say. Like mysticism, spirituality. I saw a really good quote that I think summarized like exactly what you're trying to say. It's like spirituality is just science that isn't proven yet.
Yep.
Because these principles have been around for
I've never heard it that way.
thousands of years. But to add on to that, like I don't know enough of the science, but I have an understanding that opened up my framework to view it objectively. Is in matter, energy, right?
Yep.
If you go deep inside to the building blocks of every piece of matter,
Mm-hmm.
you like we're all. This is a beautiful segue to open the conversation. So, we're all made out of, our organs. Our organs are made out of tissue. Tissue is made out of cells, atoms. You get to the subatomic particles.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is where quantum physics, quantum field starts coming into play, and that field is, I think, our mind can't really comprehend it, but there's a fascinating thing called the observer's effect, that when they're studying electrons, which are like the building blocks of matter, they look into the electron cloud.
Yeah.
So that's where the electron resonates, and the cloud is 99.9% empty. But the phenomena is that when you observe a certain spot in the cloud, the electron manifests. So it's literally saying that your thoughts manifest matter.
Mm-hmm.
And then to go on to this, like your thoughts matter because your thoughts move matter.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on the other hand, I personally have like a fine point of thoughts. You can only do so much with your thoughts. For example, for me to say that I am going to alter the planet rotation. I'm tired of living 24 hours. I want to make the earth spin and make 30-day hours. I'm not going to manifest that with my thoughts alone, but I can change maybe something at a smaller scale, maybe like my social environment or stuff like
This
that.
kind of reminds me. I'm not sure if I think I recommended this book to you, but it reminds me of that the book called Happy Pocket Full of Money. And one of the first things they talk about in that book, the author talks about, is exactly that we manifest what we see and how we think about it. And one of the examples I think was like, it was kind of weird. That book's kind of weird because it's
honestly,
really heavy. And if you're not ready for it and ready,
it's like any of these, any books like that touch deeper in this kind of like, again, for the same reason that it's not all that understood, and you have to set yourself with the foundation in order to grasp these concepts. So when you grab a book,
you also have to be careful too, because some of the stuff it could be
misleading. It's kind of like the best way that I see it. It's like, obviously when it comes to the law of attraction, I feel that the book or the thing that is most known by the majority of people is The Secret. And The Secret. And that's like a children's coloring book when it comes to like the law of attraction, bro. And I blame books like this that, people will kind of like open up to, okay, what is this law of attraction thing? What is this vibration? And how is it that, my thoughts become a reality? And so they'll watch The Secret, or they'll read The Secret, and they'll be like, nah, fuck this shit, it's hocus pocus. It's fucking hocus pocus, this is crazy. When The Secret isn't a bad book because it is giving you, outlining the like very, very baselines, but it presents the information in a way that it seems like it's hocus pocus. Like it's just something that, like, dude, it's like, seriously, me sitting in this chair and thinking about fucking wanting, I don't know, multi-million-dollar home,
and disappearing.
2 years later, someone's gonna knock at my door and say, hey, here's this multi-million-dollar home you've been thinking about for 2 years. No, and it kind of like, I think this is one of the reasons why lately, and just like, in the recent, 3-4 years, I've been really into this kind of space, because so many things align in like different things. So then it's like the law of attraction. But when you set your mind framework around manifestation, you put your mind in a position of working towards something as well. So it's like things match up and line up that lead to one thing, that lead to another, and it ends up, it's not like you're just thinking about it. You know what I mean?
Like your thoughts create the chemical reactions for you to have faith. From the faith, you take the action.
And so with this faith, the action is propelled even higher, which sometimes expedites the rate. And so I was just telling you how I just finished reading a couple of months, like it was like 2 months ago. I read The Law of Attraction by Michael Orsner, and I think that's a great book for the people that are barely wanting to open up into get a little bit further into this law of attraction realm or field or whatever we want to call it. Because one thing that resonated with me was that he said was your thoughts. Whatever you think, the more you think about what it is that you're trying to achieve, the faster the process will, the more input or more like desire you're putting towards your objective. Let's say, I don't know, let's just call it fucking, dude, I'm just gonna put myself the Lambo. I've told you guys the fucking Lambo story. Let's say put it for me personally, it's like I'm a big car nut, and so the Lambo. So it's like the more I think about the Lambo, the more I try, shape my thoughts in a way and make positive statements towards the Lambo. It's like the more you do it, the faster the quote unquote, he says, the faster the quote unquote, the manifestation process is gonna develop. The universe is gonna reciprocate these thoughts in a quicker way. And so you think about it and it's like, okay, that makes sense, because the more present and more prevalent that thought is at the top, at the forefront of your mind, the more you're like lenient towards working that, opposed to leaving it parking in the back of your head, and you'll be like, oh yeah, like I want that. Maybe I should dedicate a little bit of my time towards this. But when it's in the forefront, you're like hustling, you're grinding.
There's like the psychology, psychology, confirmation bias.
Here's my thing with this, because I'm a firm believer in the law of attraction. But what fucked me up, bro, was I took a class, bro, called pseudoscience. Yeah. Bro. And I remember, bro, pseudoscience is pretty much fake science, right? And a lot of the things that were talked about in that class, bro, honestly, it kind of threw me off the pendulum, because it was like, fuck, I started questioning myself, which was what I seeked, right? I wanted to question myself more. But one of the things that came up, and it's so funny, my professor didn't even know, I'm like, I wanted to write about the law of attraction. She said, our whole project in that class was pick a pseudoscience, talk about why it's not a real science, debunk, just go ahead and just highlight it and speak about why it's not a science. And I wanted to talk about the law of attraction because I wanted to challenge myself first and foremost. And the thing that happened was that class fucked me up, because like, maybe this law of attraction shit is not real. But then you said something earlier about spirituality and science, bro. It's almost, I believe in it because like you have to find that driver. Maybe it is that external thing, that Lamborghini, that truck, that external materialized things, right? Because you're driven by that. And it's not so, and you're gonna go all in. My only thing is like, it's my personal conundrum, bro. Where it's like, I can't find that thin line, where that balance, in the sense where like, fuck, man, like this law of attraction shit, is it real? Because like, I'm convincing myself one day it is real, the next day it's like, fuck, man, it's weird, bro. Do you know where I'm kind of going?
I kind of feel where you're going at, bro, because I was in the exact same position when I first was introduced to like. So the first time the concept of the law of attraction kind of like, was presented in front of me was, I think, my senior year of high school. And so I remember I actually watched The Secret, which is why like I can, resonate with what I just said about like, it's kind of, it doesn't give you that reassurance of it being an actual force, that the universe is actually working in play, and it's actually in tune with not just me, but with every single living organism in this planet. So I remember watching the film, and like a lot of the things, just based off like the way I was brought up in my background and how I've been driven, was like, kind of makes sense. But is it even real? Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? It puts you in this position where it's like, you question it. And so if you ask me now, that's kind of counterproductive if it is that you're kind of like a believer in this. Because it's like, negative statements, quote unquote, input negative vibrations out to the universe, which you're not gonna get. It's kind of cutting off that manifestation effect.
For the people, the skeptics, the people that are gonna argue it, replace the word vibrations with chemical reactions. Chemical reactions is science. Like you really
chemical,
and see,
we're all chemically built the same.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, it's we're built by tissue. You break it down, you go down the ladder. We're cells are atoms, and it comes down to that. So it's brought up. I've listened to a podcast. I was one of Andy Frisella's podcasts. He had you guys know who Charlie Jabaley is? Have you heard of him? Well, he's this. He had him as a guest speaker on his podcast, and that's honestly probably one of my favorite episodes of his podcast. And I think the podcast, the title of it is the main topic was law of attraction and quantum physics. And Charlie Jabali, he used to be like this big mainstream music manager. He was the manager to 2 Chainz, Lady Gaga, like really, really big name artists.
Is he he had like a famous Nike commercial?
He's at Charlie Rocket. Charlie Rocket, that's the guy.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, dude, he's so he used to be like 400 pounds. And he lost like 200 pounds like that, and he just like, he dropped everything. He was making, 6-7 figures easily. Over 7 figures managing 2 Chainz when like the whole, when he was like big, like really, really in. Lady Gaga, he got a couple of like big mainstream artists, and he just dropped it all because he was living an unhealthy lifestyle.
Yeah.
And so what he talked about pretty much was that, you have to, quote unquote, pretend to be what it is that you want to be. So put yourself, literally, he talked about like, literally put yourself like if you want to be a doctor, go buy yourself a fucking doctor's robe and play the role. Put yourself, emit the vibrations, because when you're pretending to be that, putting yourself in a place where that the life that you want to have.
Start of manifestation.
Exactly. So that's where you start shaping your thoughts towards that direction.
So, but
I heard something like that.
We're
before on what is it?
The fake it till you make it.
No. They were talking about how he would go to hotels, expensive hotels.
Yes.
Rent out expensive.
Ed
Milet.
Yeah.
He talked about it. He said, I manifested. I know I didn't belong there, but I wanted to know how it feels to be there.
And that
once
is
I'm
crazy,
there,
bro.
I feel like I belong there. And once I feel like I belong there, then I want to be there. So in order to be there, I have to.
Again, it's that step by step, bro, and it's so crazy because I've done this and I've had these experiences in the past where it's like,
it's like a realization when it happens, bro. And it feels like deja vu.
No, and the fact is, it's like, dude, when your vibrations and you put yourself in these positions where you are quote unquote pretending. You're putting yourself into the life that you want, or you're temporarily, like he said, like Ed Milet would go to rent an $1,000 room night so he could feel what it is to feel
that
where he wants to be.
So in today's term, it's called fake it till you make it.
You can literally
in a way, because
you're
pretending to be somebody that you're not there yet. But
that's the key term though.
Yeah.
Not there yet.
Not there yet.
Because. But you put yourself in this position to get a feel for it. Yeah. So, and the thing is when you put yourself in these positions, because I've done this before, and I don't mean I've gone out and rented, but I found myself where life has led me to these very there's no secret. I want to be financially. I want to be fucking very, very up there. It's I think it's everyone's. And a lot of people will say oh, dude, it's greedy. It's not greedy. It's just the way I see it. It's just it's my obligation to be the best version of myself that I can be. That's part of fulfilling my part on the existence of being here. And so one of those things is just being as financially well off as I possibly can. And that to me is at that elite level. Yeah. Because it's I'm not gonna shoot. It's I'm the kind of guy. I'm ambitious, so I want to shoot at the top.
Yeah.
So what I'm getting at is that when you put yourself in these positions where you're in the space where you want to be, and you get this feeling, bro. You feel, and I don't know if you guys have felt this, but you feel when you're vibrating hard.
Well, yeah, you'll even say dude, that was you feel it.
Your vibrations are so in tune that what you're emitting is strong. So I had this. I met up with. This was about 2-3 months ago. I was up in San Mateo at this very, very expensive resort kind of thing, Location. I was meeting up with. So as you guys know, I do the whole house investing thing, and I was meeting up with this private money lender, which is very dude with large, deep pockets, and so we meet up for dinner there because that was the first time that I was gonna meet him, and so it's this super high end, luxurious. Resort, and I'm not sure if it was San Mateo. I think it was what's the name? Mountain View. It was up
Yeah.
north. It was like a little bit further south of San Francisco. And I get there, bro, and the place is fucking breathtaking. And we're gonna meet at the restaurant that's in the hotel, and they do have you drive in and they have fucking the valet.
Valet and everything.
So I drive in and I look at I drive in because I didn't know where to park. I didn't know the first time being there. And I was a little bit kind of thrown off. It was a little bit intimidating because that's a place where like you're not used to going. You just feel a little bit uncomfortable based on like the background that you have, which is I don't have a background of multi-million-dollar parents.
Yeah.
So I get there, bro, and it's just like right from the moment I've arrived. Like the valet, there's a brand new Rolls Royce Phantom 8, which is like a $600,000 Rolls Royce. There's 2 Lamborghini Aventadors. There's a Ferrari F12. You're looking at like $2 million, if not more, worth of cars, and just like holy shit, I was blown. I was like, holy fuck, this is like the really like upscale spot. Get off, leave my car with the valet, walk into the restaurant, and just like the vibe, bro. And then like I remember I was in the hallway. And I just thought to myself, I was like, damn, like this feels right. Like this is the level of like this is where I want to be.
Yeah.
And so at that point, like as I was saying this, and literally I said it, I thought it to myself, and I was like, damn, this feels right. As I was speaking it out, like I felt like, dude, I felt me vibrating. So the fact of like the vibrations, it's crazy, bro. It's like when you're so in tune and you feel it, it's like I personally can like feel it. I'm just like, holy shit, I think I'm vibing like hard right now. So these vibrations touch the universe, and I'm just it's just a matter of time for the universe to reciprocate.
And
that,
I want to ask you something because I feel like I felt the same way. I totally understand what you're saying, just in a different circumstance.
Different sense, yeah. And see, the thing is, it's like with the law of attraction, bro. It's not just about like the financial and materialistic things, bro. It comes to like meeting people. And shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I feel like what I want to get at is like, how do you feel after that? Because personally, like, it's funny because sometimes I'll meet up. Like, I have this one specific mentor that I meet up. I should meet up with him more often because after I leave, just talking to him and just being in the presence, it's not so much, you doesn't even have to speak, bro.
Yep.
And that's the type of people I feel like people need to surround themselves with. And there's a lot of people out there like that. Just his presence, it sucks the energy out of you, but in a good way though. Because you walk out there, it's like, you literally left. I feel like, what's that?
Gives you energy.
Yeah,
gives you energy.
But it's kind of like. It's kind of it's what I feel in the sense where like it does give me energy, but it's like it's literally the best way I could explain it is like he sucked so much energy out of me that I left an old person there and I'm ready to be a new person. I peeled off another layer, you know what I mean? So it's like the guy I'm talking about, his name is Ravi, and just being in his presence, I feel that he doesn't have to speak, but when he speaks, it's so funny. Like we coined it as a knowledge hangover, bro, because you feel like you mentally feel like holy shit, bro, like. You know what now? But I technically used it as a tool where it's like literally I could best explain it. Peeled it off. I left an old person there. Not that old person was exactly.
I would say all of this is your brain. I think everything happens at the brain. Like if you're more of a spiritual person, you could say like the soul.
Uh-huh.
But from my perspective, I'm a firm believer that everything is in the brain. Everything. I get to the point, like, I'm like kind of existentialist to say if the afterlife, those conversations, but regardless how Joe is talking about his experience, the vibrations, how you're talking about your exposures and how it makes you feel, it's everything is a chemical reaction.
Yeah.
And it's just the
because
brain,
you get a stimulus.
the law of attraction, that process of thinking and interpretation, you're literally neurologically rewind your brain to create chemical reactions that feel perfect for that situation. So I think that it's beautiful in the sense that you can have it and put it in the terms like that, like the granted terms, and then you can also have it in the terms of critical, objective, scientific viewpoint, and it's still the same thing. It's like 2 + 2 is 4, but 4 × 1 is 4. You're still getting the same thing. It's just different perspective. So for me, based off my interest in how my thought process, I'm more, kind of tell me more of the facts, and there's some things I'm very open to, like Western culture is science, data, numbers.
Medicine.
That's how it functions out here. But Eastern philosophy is more of abstract. Like Alan Watts in his book, The Way of Zen, he says that there's things that you just can't put into words because our brain so the there's part of the brain called the limbic part, and
Where you feel the stimulus receptors.
the emotions.
Yeah.
And then the frontal cortex, the logical part that makes you
yes.
able to speak. They're not optimized and connected, so your emotions cannot be translated into words because the part of the brain isn't connected. So that's where like it gets interesting.
That's where you get like that whole feeling of like the sometimes you put yourself in like a feeling where in a position where you're feeling so much or the emotion is so high that you literally just like you can't fucking describe it. You know,
exactly.
You just literally can't because you don't find the words.
You can't.
You
like,
try to attach like and
yeah.
like you try to attach like happiness or sad, whatever the basic word is, but it doesn't. Those words don't feel strong enough to describe what it is that you're feeling.
And it makes sense, bro, because if you it's in a basic form, bro. If you look at the structure of the brain, bro, just look at the structure. It's connected to your spinal cord, where most of the stimulus comes in through. The middle part is where you digest the emotions, the limbic system, literally right in the middle. Then it gets to the prefrontal cortex. If you're looking at it from a very basic viewpoint, bro, the spinal cord to the frontal cortex in brain travel, it's pretty far, bro. So by the time it gets over here, it's transcribed differently. That's why some people can't control their emotions, or why emotions take over your logical decision making.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird, bro. In Emotional Intelligence 2.0, bro, it literally one of the first diagrams is that the brain, the spinal cord back here, where everything comes in through, stimulus where you feel, it's transcribed in your limbic system, in the amygdala, and then it's coming to the prefrontal cortex. So sometimes when you're mad, you make bad decisions. And it's because you can't, there's no shortcut. There's no shortcut freeway from spinal to prefrontal cortex unless you know how to control your emotions, because you can't get around that because we're physically structured that way. And it's so crazy because that's, it's really interesting that you said that you really believe that, you know, everything's the brain.
I think everything's the brain.
I'm on the edge of that because I do
challenge it. I think like you can go back to the brain like.
No, definitely. I want to agree with you 110%, but I still have that like, it's still something with the body.
That's interesting about you. I think you're more of a. I could say, are you religious?
I don't want to say I'm a believer. So
Okay.
yes, religion. Yes, religious.
So, from my perspective, I'm completely not. I want to say I'm an atheist, but I just any story for religion, the Bible, it's data and information that was made by another individual, and that entity, God, and that spirituality aspect, it's too grand for anyone to even try to deliver it for me. Like, I have to get my own internal interpretation.
And that's the thing with religion. You know?
Religion is like templates and frameworks of how it is, but I think religion is something only an individual can cultivate and create for
their own belief. Yeah, and it's funny because I heard a podcast like with Andy Frisella, bro. He's religious. I actually didn't know that, but he talks about that you have and people. He's very careful on speaking of that in the sense where.
Yeah, because it's a touchy subject. Especially when you're feeding off to an audience like his.
Exactly, but he coined it as a faith. So
yeah.
So here's the difference though, because like yes, I am religious, I am a believer, but I'm also a believer that there's something bigger than me, whether it's God or the universe.
I agree.
I'm on the same exact.
So it's not to me. It's not just one thing. It's more like I know for sure there's something bigger than me. There's. It's almost like that brain in the vat, bro. Like there's someone controlling this somehow.
There's no question about it, bro. And this is a thing though, because religion it can be it's a touchy subject. For a lot of people, but the way I see it, it's like I'm a believer. There's no question asked. There's no question asked. There's no doubt in me that there's a greater force, that there's someone pulling the strings, someone or something pulling the strings over all of us, and you know everything here. The thing is, though, it's like when you look at religion, how many religions are there? There's vast, you know, from like the main Catholic, Christian, Muslim, the main ones to like the tons and different. I don't know the exact number. There's bunch of different religions. Yeah. What is it that they all have in common? They all have one greater force or being. So now, that's why like when we first started talking about it, it's like you'd have to be kind of like naive to say that the universe, whatever it is, it's the same force that's overlapping everything and that's kind of overseeing us together. It's just that people over time put different labels on it, you know, and I think that that's just kind of like the big differentiating factor. But the thing here is like the faith is there because there's no question asked. Like, dude, like I've had a couple of experiences. I told you guys about like the big car accident that I was in, right? And so like, dude, I have
explain it though.
Oh
Explain
yeah,
it
that's
because
honestly
that's like there's stuff like this.
it's a
bro,
good
where, like,
anecdote though because you know for you get a certain understanding on where he's coming from because that I think. Well, the first time we met, you said that.
Yeah, I told you guys
it.
about that.
And it's a good anecdote because it taught you a lot in the sense of the viewpoint.
The viewpoint, because that shifted my perspective in different ways, and so technically, it's a long story. But long story short, my mom had just my mom flew out of Mexico. My grandma was passed away, so flew her out, drove her to the airport for circa early in the morning. My dad had a couple of like very important business meetings to attend to the next day, so he was gonna fly out the following night. So my mom left in the morning. He was gonna fly out the following night. There was any flights, so I ended up flying the following morning, early morning. I was up for close to 48 hours running on like 2 hours of sleep. So I'm driving back, and just sleep went over me. Kind of closed my eyes a little bit, woke up. By the time that I woke up, like opened up my eyes, I realized I was kind of like leaning onto the next car. The car over kind of like nudged me. I built momentum, flipped over about 12 times, distance of like maybe a quarter of a mile, half a mile. Car was completely like devastated. And it was, there's no other, I can't label it any other way other than being like a supernatural experience. Because I was driving my mom's SUV, and my mom's SUV was like glass, you know. This whole roof was glass. All the windows were glass. It actually had like a middle pillarless windows. So like it was just like the whole top portion was glass. Everything was shattered. The car was like, I mean, I showed you guys pictures, right? It was like devastated, bro. Wheels fell off. And yet I walked out without a single scratch. And the thing that like makes me like not question that it was a supernatural experience is, so I'm driving, I noticed that I noticed that the guy nudges over, and he nudged me over kind of hard, so like I was in the driver's seat and I say, oh fuck, please don't die, the moment that I like felt that the car tipped over. And sure enough, I remember having my eyes open, and all of a sudden, as I heard the car tilt over and like crash against the ground for the first time, I just remember everything going black. Everything going black, and I'm sitting in the driver's seat, and I just felt like cushioned. I felt like I was wrapped around. Like I was concealed in like this, I don't know, the best way that I describe it was just like a foam ball all of a sudden. And so audibly I can hear everything. I hear all the glass shattering,
so crazy,
the paint, the car scraping, the metal scraping, parts flying, and it came to like I flipped over 5, 6, 7 times. The car skid for a little bit. I remember like hearing that the car stopped rolling and it started skidding, and I was like, it's over. And then after it started skidding, built momentum again, flipped over a little bit more times, and then it landed. And as soon and then it stopped. I fortunately the car landed like upright. And then at that moment I just like right before it landed upright, like it's like you flick of a switch, lights come back on. And I see the whole windshield's like this, devastated, like broken. I'm in the driver's seat, I'm tilted up. And so my first thought was like, check yourself, make sure that you don't have freaking like a piece of metal stabbed through like your chest, and the adrenaline is, just concealing the pain. And so like I touch myself, I look at myself, I'm like, all right, I'm good. I like touch my face, there's like, I don't see blood. So then I just like I sit there for like 30 seconds to a minute, just kind of taking in the moment, right? And then I'm like, oh shit, I should probably get off, because I don't know if the car's gonna fucking explode. I just flipped over a little bit. So I get off. And as I get off, I look to my left, and there's this older man like sprinting full speed towards me, like hard full speed. And so when we made eye contact, his reaction he was literally like thrown back. Like when we made eye contact, he was literally thrown back. He was just like, and so he was like, what the fuck happened? Like, how is this guy?
You're fucking alive.
Yeah, how the fuck is this guy alive? So he then just like starts jogging towards me. I walk over, I grab my distance from the car, I sit down on like the railing. He comes up to me, he's like, dude, are you okay? Are you hurt? Do you are you fine? And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. He's like, does your head hurt? He was kind of checking me for like concussion. He's like, what's your name? Where do you live? Answer all the questions. So I'm like, no, I'm good. He's like, dude, I was right behind you. I saw the whole thing. Like, are you sure you're okay? Like, I honestly ran up here thinking I was going to have to, bring out a dead body or an unconscious person outside of that car. And I said, no, I'm good. So anyways, so I felt like this foam ball conceal me, right? And the craziest thing, though, was that I walked off without a scratch, bro. Not a single glass cut, not a single bruise, absolutely nothing. Like, nothing. Craziest thing, though, so I mentioned my mom's car had a panoramic roof, so the whole roof was glass, all the glass shattered. I did not have a single shard of glass on my clothing, on my hair, like, nothing, bro. So to me, that's just like, dude, you just rolled over fucking a good ass distance, and there's not a single piece of like glass on you when like the whole car was like concealed with glass. That just to me was just like, whoa, crazy,
this
bro.
This is a miracle.
Yeah, this is like something. So this is something again. You can't. I was feeling something, dude, and it's so crazy because like it's been fucking 2-3 years since that happened. Like every time that I tell this story, like I get goosebumps, bro. Like I get goosebumps. But yeah, there's no I can't label it any other way other than being like it was like a supernatural experience.
Bigger than you.
So what I learned from that, and so I have a really good friend that we were childhood friends. He's a highway patrol officer. We met up about a year ago, and we had caught up because he was doing his own thing, I was doing my thing. We just kind of life took its toll. We take our own path, and we were talking, and the conversation kind of leaded in that way. So being a highway patrol officer, like he told me, he's like, dude, I see a lot of shit. And something that we agreed on based on like that story that I shared with him and the stories that he shared with me was that, because he was telling me, like, dude, there's times where like I show up to a car accident scene, car's like devastated, bro. The person's like a drunk driver, he fucks shit up, car's like fucked up, and the guy walks off like he's nothing. I've been in car accidents where they're fatal accidents, bro, where it's like the car will like nudge against something and there's a dead body in the driver's seat. It's like accidents, bro, that you think that, the person's going to be all right, and it's a fatality.
So it's a conversation of miracles.
And so
the miracle is the actual supernatural, or the challenge your viewpoint. And I'm more in favor on your side, but let me devil's advocate, like it could be like a numbers situation. It could be the factors of the engineering of the car, the gravity, the position that you rolled.
Not so much.
All the variables that that led to the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
You think that it could be a numbers game, or is really you firmly 100% believe that it's that supernatural?
It's crazy because just being in that position and giving the circumstances,
No, we're good.
Power down.
Okay, yeah, it's cool. No. We'll continue this part of the audio.
Okay.
But we'll take a little break.
But let's just continue the audio and then fucking jump on to the next one. So like, it's crazy because I get you. I get the devil's advocate, and I'm a person that's very open to like having these conversations, being questioned, and so I'm not gonna say I'm firm on like it was a spiritual miracle kind of like this other larger power, but it's a miracle in both senses, because if it is a numbers thing, I just fucking that experience, I probably broke the fucking largest fucking odds, because what are the fucking odds that, I don't know, 10 million pieces of fucking glass, not a single one landed on me. You know what I mean? After being in rotation and fucking literally being spun up, it's like when you mix a salad, bro, it's like throwing the salad dressing on top of like a salad, mixing that shit, and then there's a leaf that didn't get like a single smudge of dressing on it. That's a fucking, then, call it whatever it is, but if it is a numbers thing, I probably should fucking be rewarded for, for having the fucking, the largest.
Invest in unicorns.
Yeah, the unicorn experience, bro, but dude, it's crazy, man.
I like that anecdote, bro. Because
and so let me just finish up my topic on this. The point that I mentioned about my friend being a highway patrol officer, the thing that we agreed on was like, dude, there's no question and doubt that, and he's like, at least to me at this point, that there is something, or the greater power that dictates when it comes to mortality, when it is that it's your time to go.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I've seen shit where it's like, it's crazy, bro. Like, this person should be dead. They're not. And I've seen things where it's like, I drive up and I'm guessing, broken hand, broken bone. Person's dead in the driver's seat. So it's crazy, bro. It's crazy when you touch these like larger picture topics, man. Like it's
because it puts everything in an objective viewpoint, bro. And because it's so subjective to you, but it's just like it's just another anecdote to confirm the fact that there's something bigger.
Yeah, exactly.
It can't just be that numbers thing, man.
Because, dude, it's like, as I mentioned, bro, that if we rely on that, on like a numbers thing, I should fucking be rewarded for like,
Yeah.
for that, bro, because that's insane.
Know,
that's insane.
That's a crazy story, bro.
But yeah,
that
bro.
was a crazy story, and
I
I
have a couple miracles like that on my side too, that I look back and like, damn, like logically how the world operates, like shit shouldn't happen the way it did, but it was like something like guardian angel or whatever you want to call it, but something truly protects you.
Yeah, dude,
I fucking love it, man. That's the second time hearing that story, and it's just like the first time I was looking at you like, dude, no, this is some real shit, because anybody can go through that miracle, but it's I don't fully comprehend what you felt because it wasn't me.
Yeah.
But I know that there's something in that is just, it applies to everyone.
And so, bro, then it kind of touches to like the whole topic of like everything happens for a reason.
Yes.
And kind of being like, I have a really good friend of mine that we met up, and he actually gave me a great label to this thing. It's like the way to see things. They're blessings in disguise. Because in the moment they might seem like, I just told you guys of how like an experience of how I almost fucking died. And the way I see it, I'm thankful for that. Because that experience was a blessing in the fact that it shaped me and it changed my perspective, and it happened at such a pinnacle point in my life where it like the growth that experience gave me propelled me from that point, negative point that I was in my life. So it's like I'm thankful that happened because that made me grow or attain certain tools that propelled me a lot further. And so I could have easily dwelled and stayed home. And the craziest thing, bro, it's like I think that, and it's just kind of like I still think about it today. And I told you guys this, like my reaction towards it, bro. Like after the event happened, I don't know if you guys remember what I told you, but this happened like 5-6 a.m. And so my parents had the grocery store. We opened up at fucking 8 a.m. So like
to work,
dude, it's fucking crazy, man. And that just like I think about it, and I'm like, dude, like essentially it makes me kind of like proud of just like my character.
Yeah.
But so the accident happens like 6:30 a.m. I'm on the side of the road. Paramedics come. They're like, "Oh, we need to take you to the hospital. You need to get checked out. Like, I really recommend you, but you're old enough. You can, decide what you want." I was like, "No, I'm good. I feel fine." Both my mom and my dad are in Mexico. I just have my younger brothers with me, and my younger brother's in high school at the time, so I'm not gonna call him like, "Hey, dude, come pick me up. I just had an accident." Like, dude, he was like 16 at the time. I think he just barely started driving. So, anyways, we call my insurance, get a tow truck on the way. They pick up like what was left of my mom's car. I get a ride in the tow truck driver at circa 7:30. 7:30. I get home, and my brother and I, we had actually touched this topic about 2-3 months ago. Yeah. He's like, "Hey, dude, remember when like?" So, anyways, I'm pulling up in front of my house in the tow truck. The tow truck driver's giving me a ride. He stops, and as he's passing my house, my brother's coming out of the house for him to go to school. So as I'm getting off from like the tow truck, my brother's just like at all, like in our driveway, just like at all looking at my mom's truck, and he's like, he just points at my mom's truck and like asks me like, "What the fuck just happened?" And I'm like, "Oh, I just got into a little car accident." And he just like nods his head. He just like nods his head in like disbelief. Starts his car and leaves. I go in the house, take a shower, open up the store at 8 a.m., have a 13.5-hour work day, close the store at 9:30, get to the store at 8:30, work 13.5 hours, close the store, go to sleep, wake up, do it all over again, man. It was crazy, bro. Like crazy, man. I just right after being like on the verge of death, the way to celebrate
The
the
13-hour shift.
half a 13.5-hour shift, bro.
Fuck, dude. I don't know how. I don't know. Dude.
I asked myself like how did I
It's
just a mindset. Bro.
I wanna ask like this segue for this question. I think we can speak on it for hours, but specifically it relates to like fate, right?
Mm-hmm.
That fate, like that event happening to you changed your life forever. Do you think that, and this relates more like to the free will area, does your fate create your goodwill, or does your goodwill create your fate?
That's a I guess. Ask me that one more time so I can really grasp it and give you the answer in the best way.
Fate, I would say, is like external factors.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, the fate of things, of course. Yeah.
How you're born and everything that happens. You know, your fate, all that happens to you creates these exposures, and these exposures create your nurture side, your identity side. And when you create this nurture side, this identity for you, you create fate. You create events and outcomes that happen for you, which is essentially like more powerful. Do you think that the fate really creates your goodwill, or does your goodwill have the capability to create your fate?
Damn, dude, that's a tough question to answer. But I think that more than anything, I think you create your own fate, bro.
Yeah,
to be honest, more than anything. In an overall spectrum, I think that there are certain cases where like I could argue the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, I'm a believer that, you can dictate what it is that you're looking for, your own quote-unquote fate. There are certain experiences like the one that I just shared with you guys where it's like I had no control over that.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you ask me, like if I put it on in a percentage, I think it's like 95% you create your own fate, 5% there's just times where you just can't, you can cry, shout, scream, pout, do whatever it is that is in your power, and it's not meant to be.
Yeah.
But
you have that mindset to think and view it that way. Did you get that mindset intuitively, or did fate, by giving you parents and hardworking parents exposures, give you that mindset in the first place?
I think that the mindset thing, bro, it's something that I've been in. It definitely, my upbringing developed the mindset that I have, because.
So that goes back to fate, because your upbringing, you didn't choose your upbringing.
I didn't. Yeah,
fate gave you your upbringing.
I feel like you've talked on this before, because
I feel like I'm addressing it in like two different issues, because, but not even, it's kind of overlapping, because see,
It's connected.
Yeah, it's connected, because when I'm arguing where like you create your own fate, it's like the hustle, bro. It's the grind. Like there's things where like I'm a believer that a person living, especially in the United States, can literally do and be whatever it is that they want. No questions asked, because the barriers are subjective to the individual's input. If I wanted to be a fucking astronaut, I have the capability of doing it. It's not going to be easy. I have to put in the time, and it might take me 40 years.
Yeah.
But the possibility is a possibility. So in that sense, you're creating your own fate. Now, what Tint's touching on about my upbringing and my mentality and my mindset and how I attained that, I'd be a hypocrite to say it's like I created that for myself.
Yeah.
Because I honestly didn't. It was my upbringing, the way that my parents brought me up. And so that also is like I had no control over that. You know what I mean?
But what I want to say is like, because I think you're kind of quiet over your OD.
No, I'm listening. I'm soaking everything up. You guys, go for it.
With Tin, one time I had a conversation with Tin, and we talked about luck.
Yeah.
And this is exactly where you were lucky enough that you were brought up like that. Because again, I want Tin to explain it this way, because it kind of goes back to like the first part of luck is that you were born here.
Exactly. Like the United States.
You didn't choose to be,
or like
I don't know.
And so see, bro, like I don't know. I'm one of the kind of persons that I don't want to be the negative Nancy right now, but but what it is, bro, it's like
you gotta say what you.
But what it is, bro, it's like I'm one of the people that I don't really believe in luck, bro. When it comes to like, I mean, there's fate and then there's luck, and I think that there's a difference between that, just in the fact that or maybe it's not even that I don't believe in luck. It's just I don't like to rely on luck. It's like, I don't want to get lucky. You know, I'm not trying my end goal objectives. I'm not relying on luck to get there. You know what I mean? It's like one thing. The best way to explain it for like me personally, it's I've never been into like the whole lottery or win that shit because. My inputs, I want my inputs to reciprocate what it is. Would it be nice to be fucking lucky and make 9 figures fucking and them, you know, like in one sitting? Well, yeah, great.
One can argue that you already essentially won the lottery because you're born in the United States in a capitalistic environment.
So I can even express further with a clip that actually changed my mindset from like Gary Vee. So
love that guy, dude.
Dude, that guy. And so one thing, there's 2 things that get, and honestly, bro, it's like it's so crazy. And so like which I'm gonna like go on like a little bit of a tantrum, but it's so crazy how like little things that people provide. Like little does Gary Vee know that those 2-minute clips that he posted literally changed my life and changed my perspective. 2 minutes, bro, like minuscule thing that to him was like whatever, to me fucking was changed my perspective crazily. And so one of these things that just like I continue to come back on that really shifted my perspective on pretty much life and everything. As I told you guys, I was very anxious and very impatient about achieving my goals by a certain age. You know, I was working after I finished school. I was like 13, 14-hour days every day. I had no social life, absolutely. Like I was grinding it out hard. And it came to the point where I was like questioning, is it really worth it? I was questioning my end goal. And so,
was it because you were working that hard?
It was just like, bro,
what's a rush type of thing?
No, it wasn't even the rush. It was just like, after 8 months of working 7 days a week for 14 hours a day, I had no social life. I distanced myself from friends. I was literally like.
You weren't enjoying the process.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it, bro. I couldn't say it better myself. I wasn't enjoying the process. And one thing is, and I was really pressured on attaining something by a certain time.
Yeah.
Which touches on like the other one. That wasn't the one that I was initially going for, but which is touches on like the time. And I think that a lot of us, especially like at our age group, like your early 20s, and given the societal shift that's been happening, we were just having this conversation before we started recording, the whole social dynamics of like social media and stuff.
Yeah.
It's very easy to compare yourself to other people now
Very
because
easy.
So like, you know, I feel like that's putting a pressure on people in like their early to mid 20s, sometimes even late 20s, that it might take a, you know, you have to be to a certain in a certain place financially or physically or whatever it is those goals for you are by a certain time. And so that was me. I wanted to be making well over 7 figures by the time I was 30. That was my end goal.
I feel like this is kind of resonates with me at my current standpoint because it's kind of a distinction of inspiration versus comparison. Mm-hmm. Meaning, I'm gonna get specific about this. So, for example, the people I follow, I strictly only follow people who I know will benefit me, right? Mm-hmm. But in that, it could almost be, I don't want to say completely toxic, but it could be kind of dangerous in itself. Because, for example, I'll name 3 people. I look up to Gary Vee, Ed Milet, and Tom Billy, right? Mm-hmm. If I see their content on Instagram, it's like, fuck, I'm not here saying like I can't control, like I'm not trying to listen to them on how to do it because I'm not trying to get a blueprint on how to do things. I'm gonna do it my way with their inspiration, right? But one's over here telling me like patience. Another one's saying fuck it, go do it today. Another one's saying like you gotta fucking grind, right? So it comes down to like, fuck man, I aspire to be like these people. I'm over here I feel pressure, like I want to do it now. But it's like in my head, it's like I'm inspired, yet it's almost kind of like.
Here, I think.
Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
your
inspired ideas are convoluted. Yeah. Your inspirations are convoluted. Yeah, definitely.
You have to. Honestly, that can be extremely dangerous because they're not you.
Exactly.
You're not listening to your own intuition. Like they can give you frameworks and guidelines, but if you follow them step by step or even constantly. That's the danger about like entrepreneurship and like
especially the whole
kind of ironic. You can't teach someone to be an entrepreneur.
And there's no right way. You can just pick nuggets from every person because what I picked up on my time was that like what you said, you only kept 3 good people that you want to listen to their content, right? But you were forgetting everything else that you were living in. For example, I heard this guy, he was saying you need to keep 10 close friends. He said 10 higher than you, which you could learn, and 10 people under you. And our entrepreneurism mindset is, no, why would I want these 5 that are under me if they ain't gonna teach me shit? But in reality, you actually need those people, because those are the people that you're gonna be like, no, I don't want to be like them. So you gotta be in the middle. You don't gotta be the best. You don't gotta be the worst. You just gotta be in the middle in order to be going up, up. So if you just constantly stay on the people that are on top, then you don't get that whole vision, and you don't enjoy the process of your ultimate goal. That's what I picked up along the way.
I can agree, but even like be careful with
But
like
with,
the 5 below.
yeah,
Like you don't
and
want them hanging on too much. You know.
And see,
yeah.
the thing really is, bro, it kind of touches back to something that the more and more I essentially live and kind of grow like as a person, that I've learned is like bro, you can read. I can give you like a script. I can give you like my step by step of what I've done to be where I am today. And I'm not saying that I've done it or I've made it, by no means. But I can give you, just for the sake of the explanation, like I can give you my blueprint. And that's not going to work for you.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
I can tell you, you know what, bro, I hung around 10 people and I hung around 5 and I did this and, you know, I woke up at 6 a.m. every day and whatever it is. That's not going to work for you, bro, because you're you. And another thing, too, that we keep forgetting is that we're constantly evolving.
Yeah.
So what felt right for me 2 years ago isn't what felt right for me now. You know what I mean? I just shared with you guys, 2 years ago, working 13-hour shifts, like no one put a gun to my head to tell me, hey, you know what, dude, you need to work 13-hour shifts. That came out of my own will. It just came to a point where I evolved, and I was at a point where I was just like, dude, I don't think this isn't what I want for me at this point in time.
I guess because, like, for
And
example,
so just let me to finish, kind of like touching on what you're saying, bro. And like I get what you mean, because you're looking for like what's happening is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like the want for you to fucking make it, quote unquote, make it, what in your space is so, like, you're so driven that you want to take in as much information and beneficial information from people that have made it, that you want to like take the tools to go fucking like do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, to kind of simplify, let's say your goal is to make a bench like that, right? And so Gary Vee's telling you, in order to make that bench, you're going to need a hammer and a screwdriver. And then Ed Milet's telling you, no, you need a hammer and a wrench. And then Tom is telling you, you need a wrench and a saw. So you're just like, what the fuck? What tools do I need to fucking make that bench? But what it really comes down to now, bro, it's like, you know that you have the options of using a saw, a screwdriver, a wrench, and a hammer. Now it's like, okay, you know what? I think that I know how to work a saw best, I know how to work a hammer best, and I know how to work a screwdriver best. So these are the tools that I know best how to use, so that's what I'm going to use to make that shit.
Yeah.
I'm going to figure out to make that shit based with the tools that I'm more comfortable with.
Definitely.
So essentially it's like, you know, you have to kind of take in what you most can from them, and obviously, dude, because they're guys that have done it and that have made a killing, and they're inspirational people. But their blueprint is not going to apply to you. It's not going to apply to me.
Definitely.
But
I feel
yeah,
like
bro.
I'm fully aware that the thing is, this doesn't happen every day. It's
Yeah,
one
yeah.
of those types of things where sometimes when I catch it, it's like, fuck, dude, like, it's overwhelming.
And I feel like you're falling under this pressure of like the whole like, dude, I need to make it now. And so there's two things, and I remember talking to you about this, bro, to Tim, when I barely discovered this, the practice of gratitude, bro, and how big gratitude is. Because I would find myself in these positions, and really what you sometimes have to do is like just take a step back. And this is one of like when I grasped this is a thing that Gary Vee he talks about how, like, dude, we're all over here stressing about, you know, trying to make the $1 million, trying to make the, you know, be the new Apple or be the new Tesla, and we're pressuring ourselves on attaining, and we pressure on how like it's so hard, and how, you know, it's gonna be so, you know, making this huge milestone, reaching this huge milestone, when in reality, every person that's alive has already done the hardest thing that they're ever gonna do. The hardest thing that's like, again, bringing it back to numbers, that's like almost impossible, or where like the odds are completely against you, you've already achieved.
Definitely.
And so that kind of, and so when he said this, I was just like, well, what the fuck is it that we've all done that's so crazy hard? And just the fact of being born.
Yeah.
Just the fact of being alive.
You won that.
You already won.
Mm-hmm.
You literally already won. And I'm sure you've heard this before. He says it like, just the fact that you're
The
alive,
probability of you
being
born,
bro, is insane.
Yeah.
And so like,
you have a better probability of winning the lottery than being born.
And it's crazy,
That's
bro.
what Gary says.
And it's crazy
Because it puts everything in objective perspective.
It shifted. It puts you in a different, to see things.
I
From
want to
a
go
different
back
space.
because I feel like there's specific factors that I battle with, in the sense where like, and it has to do and why I feel pressure and why I feel like that, because I know it's not toxic for me, and I know that I could take the certain tools and put it into my own, my own way and play them out how I want them. The thing that really like, it's not regret. I know for sure it's not regret. It's just, if I was back when I was 19, if I was watching these people at 19, you know what I mean? And like now I'm just done wasting time. I'm focused on doing now.
Yeah.
So now every time I feel like if I'm wasting time, I feel like, dude, I don't deserve what I'm talking about. I don't deserve what I want. And it goes back to like, you only work towards what you deserve because you're going to get what you deserve. If I don't work at all, I'm going to get what I deserve and have nothing.
Exactly.
I'm not so focused on attaining the wealth or the external things. I'm more like just being financially free, where it's like, okay, now I have the tool, which is the money, to do what I need to do. And
and that's
the only reason I feel that way, where I look at these people and it's like, man, is this doing good for me or is this bad for me?
Dude.
Because I'm done wasting time.
Dude, that's crazy.
Does that make sense?
That makes totally sense.
And I wanted to say that because I think that's the only battle I have at times, and when it does happen, it's like I'm chewing myself out.
Yep.
You know what I'm
And
saying?
see, and that's just you being hard on yourself, bro. And that's just the character you have to be. Because I find myself doing in the same position where I'll be like, oh, and it'll be like on a daily basis thing. Sometimes I'll catch myself spending 10, 20 minutes on my phone. I'll be like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? You could be, these extra 20, 30 minutes, like, you could be doing a little bit something more productive, and I chew myself out. However, the whole issue of time, and it's funny that you mentioned, and I like, and I like the fact that you said, I want to be financially free, because there's a big difference between, and I'm at the same point where you are. My goal is to be absolutely financially free, where I'm not tied down in any way, shape, or form. And just last week, I was I had time on my hands, and I was scrolling through YouTube, and I ran across this video on Dan Bilzerian. You guys know who Dan Bilzerian is, right? So it's a 20-minute interview. I watched the whole thing.
With who? Was it the London Reel?
Yeah, I think it was.
I watched the Joe Rogan one.
No, it was.
I put that one on.
I don't know exactly who it was, but I'm pretty sure it's a London Reel, because it was like the dude that's always suited up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I watched the 20-minute interview, bro, and there was something that he said that just like, he spoke about the girls.
He's a smart guy, bro.
Dude, he's a really fucking smart guy. A lot of people kind of go for like, kind of like discredit him for like his playboy, like really like, mujeriego kind of thing. But dude, he's a smart dude, and he spoke about the girls and the partying and shit, which I, went in one ear, went out the other. I grasped two things that he said that were just like, damn. One of them was financially free. They're talking about, I forget where like the conversation starts, but he makes a remark and he says, one of the good things about me, being as financially well off as I am, he's like, I've lived 10 times the lifetime of a regular person. And at that point, it just caught my attention. I was like, what do you mean? This guy's telling me that he's lived 10 lifetimes of what an average person does. And he broke it down. So fucking true. And I want to be in that position where you live longer life, essentially more lifetimes than the average person, because he says, look, I don't do shit that I don't want. I don't wash dishes. I don't clean my house. I don't do my laundry. I don't make my bed. I don't cook. He's like, a person has 24 hours in a day, which you spend 8 sleeping. Your average person spends 8 at work and 2 in traffic. So you're looking at 16, 18 hours out of a 24-hour day. They're left with another 8 hours. 6 hours.
Yeah, 6, because you're 2 in traffic.
No, wait, so 8 and 8 is 16.
Plus another 8 is
2.
24, but you lose 2, so that's 6.
Okay, so we're at 6 hours left. My bad, bro.
Basic math.
Basic math, dude. I have just
I know that one. That's why I said 6.
Yeah.
3.
You're left with 6 hours, and he's like, he says, take away the time that it takes a person to shower to get ready in the morning, shower before to go to sleep, take a shit, cook. You're looking at another 2-3 hours. So your average person really only has 4 hours of their day where they do what they actually want to do. And he says, and I'd argue that sometimes you're so fucking fed up of your 20 hours that you've put in doing all the other mundane shit that you don't even want to do shit those next 4 hours. You just want to rest. He's like, I enjoy the 24 hours that I have in my day, I fucking spend them on whatever it is that I want to do. So in one day, I experience what your average person experiences in a week and a half.
Yeah.
Compound that over 5 years.
Yeah.
I've lived 10 lifetimes, and I was
That's
just like,
crazy.
holy shit. I was like, what? That's
never
fucking
heard it
crazy,
like that,
bro.
dude.
I had never, that shifted my perspective instantly, and I was like, financial, it's not even so much about the, having billions of dollars, because it comes to the point, bro, where the objective should be become financially free, because once you become
Efficiency.
Freedom.
once you have that freedom, the extra dollar doesn't really, it's like once you're you're financially free and you have $1 million coming in per year, just for say, that extra $1 million isn't going to really change your lifestyle. An extra $5 million isn't going to change your lifestyle. An extra 10, it's probably not going to change your lifestyle. It's like getting up to that point, the extra $100,000 or $200,000 does make a difference. But once you become completely financially free, anything that comes on top of that, it's like the people that have billions of dollars, like, it doesn't really change your lifestyle, like, after you come to like a certain extent.
Yeah.
So the goal is being financially free, because now you have more time to experience. And at the end of the day, bro, like, it's an enigma question of what's the purpose of being here? Like, why are we alive? And I'd argue that one of the reasons to be alive is to experience the world.
Yeah.
Because it's so huge and it's so vast and there's just so much shit to do, that the things that you rejoice most on and that you like have like the strongest attachment with, it's like the experiences.
Mm-hmm.
The materialistic shit, like, yeah, it's cool, and I've had my share. I've shared another like anecdote on that end of another realization that I had. Like, yeah, the material shit is cool, but the stuff that really makes you feel fulfilled and really just like regenerates you, it's the experience, bro. So I told you guys I just got back from Cabo like 2-3 weeks ago, right? So I took a little 4 or 5 day vacation. I went down to Cabo with a friend of mine who had been like nagging me to go to Cabo with him because his dad actually lives there.
Yeah.
I mean, he was constantly telling me, like, hey dude, like, let's go take some time off. Like, he saw that I'd be working and shit, and be like, hey, let's go. It'd been like 2 years since he'd been nudging me to go to Cabo with him. Never had, because I didn't want to like stop working. And crazy, bro. Before this last my trip to Cabo 3 weeks ago, the last time I took more than 3 days, quote unquote, off and like completely disconnected was like the summer of 2012. So it'd been 7 years since I quote unquote took a vacation. I mean, yeah, I'd have 2-3 days off, but my phone was ringing. Mm-hmm. I wasn't like completely disconnected. And I can tell you that again, it's like you continue to grow every day and you make realizations every day. It's like, I learned that, dude, the time that you take off is almost as important as the time that you have on. Because I came back like batteries at 150%, bro. And it just made me realize, like, dude, what the fuck? That experience that I had there, the experience fulfills you. The experience like generates you and motivates you to continue to be pushing and push the benchmark. But yeah, man.
No, definitely.
Yeah, it goes back to like incentives. Like, what are your rewards and viewpoints? For example, you're an experienced guy. You want that as exposure to do that. For me, my mission and like statement is to more like the mastery side. Like, I would be willing to commit 50, 40 plus years to say build something that would be maybe a startup. Like, do like sacrifice like you know, find the balance. Of course, stay healthy.
I get you, bro. But see, this is. I'm gonna clarify that. I'm not solely on the experience.
No, I know you.
What
I
mean?
know you. I know you.
If you tell me,
Yes.
dude, I'll put my head down 10 years in the end result, I'm fucking down to give you 10 years of my life.
I know you.
You know what I mean? But it's like, when you get these little hints, bro, you're like, holy shit! It's not just the end result. You know what I mean? But sorry, I cut you off.
I was saying that I think some people with like for example, financial freedom. That's like it could be your incentive for that freedom, and once you get that freedom, you manifested and got to that point. But then on the other hand, some people will be more focused like on the impact. For example, some people that they do the entrepreneurship, they hit 7 figures and they're fine, they're content with that. But then on the other side, this is why I'm being exposed to the Silicon Valley culture. It's very interesting because these people their impact is their life is so different and their viewpoints are so grand that it's like, well, these guys, truly an individual can truly change the world, and in order to them to do so, their life is just so different from what the picture portrays, and they are really in the shadows and really working in the sense that they're gonna build something so grand and they're gonna build insane machines, and you could do that with your entrepreneurship and building the income, but sometimes they go for that incentive.
It's their incentive, and that changes from different people, because you can have people that want to make a spiritual impact to other people's lives, and it really is. I think that's like the biggest motivator for anything, you know, like, and I think it's a distinction between people, and there's no right or wrong answer, no right or wrong incentive. It's just, you know, it depends on the person. There's people that the fact that, you know, like you mentioned, they're content, like they can probably work at no pay. They're willing to work at no pay, knowing the fact that they were part of something big that changed the shape of the world.
Do you think that's the general purpose though of a human though, to work towards something that's bigger than them?
No,
I wouldn't. I think again, it's one of those where it's like, it kind of differs from people,
because
from person to person.
No, definitely. I only ask because I feel like if we have those incentives, it's not so much about what is the incentive. It's more about how to find it.
Yeah,
because it comes down to like passion. And it's always like, oh, you don't really find your passion, you develop it. And there's a bunch of arguments around passion, and it's like, are you born with it? Are you not born with it? Because I feel like incentive means a lot of different. People are incentivized to get paid $24 an hour. People are incentivized to drive a Lamborghini.
But I think with that question, like how you said, working towards something bigger than oneself. I think DNA wise, we are programmed to be altruistic. There's a good book called The Selfish Gene, and it talks that like our DNA is hardwired to be altruistic and help others and work in line. But for the most part, I think we are self-centered, and either like, for example, like when I'm talking about like these individuals, I'm referring to like the Bill Gates, the Steve Jobs, the Zuckerbergs, and you know, capitalism has its viewpoints, but these individuals, their life is literally committed to like what they're creating, and it's interesting because what they're creating is so grand that they're getting billions of dollars, but you know how many lives are getting impacted. That
right there's a key word, bro. Impact.
Well, yeah,
that's the key word. And actually, like, again, touching back to like, it's a perspective shift. Okay, it's kind of like, and I this is something that I truly firmly believe in, because if you ask Bill Gates, if you can give him the same amount of money without creating what he created, he'd be like, fuck the money. The fact of me creating this is just like, impact in dollar marks are like weighed easily. Mm-hmm. The more impact you make, the more money you make. The greater the impact it is, the greater the paycheck is. And that just goes for like all shape or form. I'm gonna like ask OD here. It's like, the more like productive your barber is, the more your incentive, you'll be more comfortable with giving them an extra, you know, a larger paycheck, quote unquote, right? It's like when my parents out of the grocery store, someone's hustling, busting the ass, creating more impact for the business, creating just more like value. The more value that person provide, the more I'm incentivized to be like, dude, this guy's creating value. I want to create value in his life as well. So for these people that are, you know, literally shape the face of the earth, That's why they're. That's
It's a
why
really
they have. That's why they
interesting
have.
topic.
That's why they have billions of dollars attached to their name, because they literally shaped the face of the earth and shaped what the human species on its own.
Yeah,
because
very
but you know what? Something that I want to touch on right now that you guys are saying this is like, what's that? The guy that I think it's the guy that made Apple. What's it called?
Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs. His whole life he dedicated it to that, right? Like you said, his life was like, I want to do this. Maybe not for his ego, just that's what he wanted. You know, his whole life, everything, his whole purpose of life for him was building that because that's what he wanted. The money, I'm pretty sure he could care less for that.
Yeah.
You know,
He didn't take salary.
but at the very end, if you look at his movie, he did say that he wasted a lot of time just on that. He forgot about his personal life.
See, that's where it interesting.
So like you said earlier, a lot of people every year that you take, you're at a different stage.
You're evolved.
So when he was older, he probably realized like, shit.
That's
like,
where it really comes down to your internal wisdom of your values, ethics, and what you truly have the principles for. That once you find them, stay aligned to them. For example, if this company's dedicating 80% of your time and you only have 10% for yourself and 10% for your family, but you're a family-oriented person, then you might have to sacrifice the other 10% to get 30% with your family. Like making those judgment calls is the judgment.
Yeah, and
That's the
see,
wisdom.
and it really comes down to like again what I touched on, like evolution. Because for Steve Jobs at the beginning, he felt it's like no one held a gun to his head. That's what I'm saying, like to tell him, dude, you gotta fucking forget about your family and work, and they obligated. That's what he felt.
Definitely.
And so it's just like, dude, there's a time where like I'd like to argue that. Unfortunately, you just can't have the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Either it's
Yeah.
one thing or the other, bro.
Yeah.
And because if he did not dedicate those first 20 years hardcore, forgot about his wife and his kids, Apple wouldn't be what Apple is today.
Yeah.
It was a sacrifice, which leads me, bro. Like this guy can fucking take a whole nother,
No, and I don't want
sacrifice, bro.
I
Because
don't-
sacrifice is like the biggest fucking thing about
I agree,
anything,
bro.
about anything. Because dude,
I don't mean to cut you off short, bro, but it's like this segment would only be one episode, and we could sit here for freaking
Nah, bro,
24 hours.
Yeah.
I want to, make sure we like have these. We're gonna talk about so much during this segment, and this is why, I want to have this because we could sit here and just talk, So like, I just don't. I'm down for a 24-hour show.
Yeah, no,
and
but
then
no,
that's
it is,
it.
bro. I don't think anyone is gonna fucking dedicate their whole day to listening to it, bro.
But no,
Well,
yeah.
hopefully, but yeah, no, I don't know how much.
We're on
how-
2 minutes, so that's pretty
Oh,
much
okay.
it. So I think, dude, it was a lot, man. It's a lot. I think we covered a lot in the sense where like a bunch of stuff, bro. Spirituality, law of attraction, now sacrifices, and the entrepreneurial. My personal, input on how I feel like with the whole, just not wasting time type of thing, right? And dude, this is like what I love about this. So
There was a lot of times where I wanted to give my opinion, but I was soaking up so much.
That's
that
why we
I was
gotta give
you know
labels.
what? I'm just gonna chill today.
that's why we're
Sometimes
gonna.
I always do the talking behind the chair, so today
Yeah.
I'm just chilling.
But yeah, dude. That
Yeah.
being said, bro, I'm looking forward to the development of this segment. So
Yeah, bro. Like it was fun,
Let's
man.
fucking
It was,
do it.
it was
Yeah,
great,
it was
bro.
great.
we're gonna give each other labels, bro. OD's over here quiet, bro, but
I'll be
the
armchair
quiet
philosopher.
one, armchair philosopher, Joe Bryan. What's your label?
Dude, I don't know, man.
Entrepreneur, the hostess with the mostest.
The host.
Dude,
But there you have it.
I'm the fucking storyteller, bro. Because I got, you guys know, bro. I got stories for days.
So I
Fucking-
hope you guys enjoy.